ask anybody's question but yours. You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
Hello, for anyone listening. Can't tell if my audio is working or not. Oh, now I can. So we're in a cacophony of issues right now with audio and video. Looks like Christian's got things figured out. Welcome to this live stream of the Syracuse versus North Carolina game that may or may not be happening at present because ESPN doesn't like either Christian or I.
That is indeed very true. I'm just checking on what. Yeah, there's still 34 seconds left in the LSU Missouri game. That LSU has won sans Deuce Chestnut. So that means, hey, guess what? That game should finally get rolling on ESPN. Hopefully everyone heard me there.
All right. Can we hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. No, I can on the delay on my phone now that I've pulled that up.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, Mike can hear us both, so that's great.
All right. Now I just got to figure my monitor out.
Indeed, that's all we have to do. What we're going to do is figure out that already on the first possession, if we just look at the gamecast that Syracuse, that ESPN has so graciously provided to us, that UNC is already in the red zone on the first possession. So that is, as always, lovely, wonderful, and everything we want that is right with this world.
Yeah,
so
not great, Bob. Not great.
Not great at all. This is what we'll use. These are usually, if you're new to like all the watch parties that you've seen, all the craze that has kind of taken over. This is usually what you'll see is us just talking about game and Kevin Darton getting a sack. So it looks like Syracuse, as usual, is bending and not breaking, which is kind of what we want to see. Yay. And we need Brian Kelly to stop torching clock on the main ESPN broadcast.
Hey, I got you, Christian.
Yay, wonderful.
Now the question is how to get the game up.
Well, again, Brian Kelly is once again torching clock, so we cannot have anything nice.
Oh, is that where the issue is?
Yes, right now the game is only available on the ESPN app, which, as you know, means that it's not available yet.
Great. Try workarounds.
Indeed. I think, have it coming up. As usual, we will not be showing any footage of this game. We will only be showing just the live stats that you see here on the side, as UNC has just taken just that 3-0 lead.
Mike, if you're just seeing the starting soon screen, you may want to hit refresh.
Yes.
I've had that.
We should be live and good to go.
And if not, we've got more issues. Also, whoever, I can't remember who it was in the Discord, 100% called who was going to have more false starts, the stream or the offensive line.
It was indeed the stream. This was... I was expecting this to go a bit more cleanly than it was. Unfortunately, I ran into a myriad of tech issues that I wasn't expecting. So
I ran into a kid.
Well, that's your own fault. That's your own. Actually, that's a fault that you made 6 years ago.
Right. This is not a new concept.
All right, but I'll tell everyone. Until Steve picks this up on his end, I'll tell you where I am on based on my ESPN stream, UNC just kicked it off, and Destin Hawkins kind of somehow did that wide receiver thing of catching the ball in the corner and out of bounds in the end zone. So it is still a touchback. And Syracuse about to start at 25 with ESPN running a Garrett Schrader graphic.
It's probably right about where I am then.
Yep, so 10:51, Schrader about to take the snap on 1st and 10. Takes the snap, hands off to Allen, and it's a counter route around the outside. Allen's going to pick up about 9.5, maybe 10 yards. It'll be 2nd down and short. And once again, like we explained last week, Steve, Syracuse starts off the first possession with running away from the protection.
Absolutely. There's one way to do it, and we found out it worked last year.
Formation on 2nd and 1. Quad formation down the left side. It was bobbled by the receiver, Damian Alford, and almost intercepted. Oh boy, that was
now that said, that is a phenomenal play call. If that's executed, it's an easy 1st down. If Alford catches that, it's a no-brainer.
So it looks like Steve and I are synced up.
I'm about maybe a second behind you, but yeah, ballpark.
All right, so bunch formation. Syracuse takes the snap, runs around the left side, and the tush push does work for Syracuse. Unlike the New York Giants, Syracuse has practiced the tush push.
I'm still trying to figure out how the hell that's legal. Like, aiding the runner used to be a penalty.
Well, the thing is, right now, well, it's not. And as we saw with the Giants last week, it doesn't always work. Especially you need
true.
It needs to be very specialized. Schrader on the keeper around the left side will pick up about 5 yards.
Got to show the graphic. You're getting the props there, Christian. Natural play-by-play, man.
Thank you.
I love
these are usually how it goes. We want to call things around. Low snap. Schrader just dumps it off to Allen. He's going absolutely nowhere. Gets half suplex to the ground. Maybe lost a yard there, and it's going to be 3rd down and long with 9:30 left to go in the first quarter.
Have we confirmed that Jones has been out there in formation, or just
I haven't seen him? I haven't seen him quite yet. Emily Leckler from ESPN, not from ESPN, from Syracuse.com, did tweet out that Jones made the trip and was practicing in cleats at the beginning of the game. Schrader takes a snap once again, looks left, looking over the middle for Alford, but that pass a little bit too far in front of him, hounded by the defender Allen there as well. So after a good first set of downs, not so much on the second set of downs, especially after the nice run from Schrader, and Syracuse will punt. And kind of what I mentioned in my things to watch, Steve, is that, this is a Syracuse team that just doesn't have the offensive weapons that you would think you would need in order to get over the hump in this game, especially with all the receiver injuries and receiver unavailability.
Yeah, think about that play in itself. I mean, Alford, you add another inch and another inch or two of wingspan, and that's caught. And that's where you're looking with either Jones or Gadsden running that route.
Stonehouse's punt will go out of bounds, and it's a UNC ball with 9 minutes left to go. We're going to go to commercial break. We're, of course, just sticking here. Steve, I'm not sure if you participated in the predictions or things to watch this week. I know you are a busy man.
I did things to watch. Predictions I had not. I will put it out there. 28-24 Syracuse is what, or no, 28-24 UNC is what I had written down somewhere.
So UNC 34, Syracuse 14 is what I tossed out there. And that's mainly just because I have a really bad sinking feeling that we're going to see what essentially happened during the Sterling Gilbert game in that very first game in 2020, which is, I know you're shaking your head. I am too, which is basically, hey, this is a good team that's going to have a good defense, but unfortunately the offense isn't going to produce enough in order to give the defense the necessary support it needs.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I mean, I guess look at this first series. What the end result is in my brain almost doesn't matter. I feel like everything that Beck has called has been there.
Yes.
So we're at least calling a good game, and for the most part, it's going to come down to execution. And if we can figure that out, then we've got a fighting chance. And if not, then it'll be pretty much how both of us called it with a Syracuse long trip home.
Yeah, really the only bad play call, if you want to call it that, was that second down play on the second set of downs, where Allen just got immediately met at the line and went absolutely nowhere. Shout out to Dave Pash, Dusty Dvorak, and Tom L. I think that's the sideline reporter's name, for doing a second Syracuse game in a row. God bless their souls.
Yeah, they're surviving multitudes of sickos committee.
And I'm not sure if we have seen a sighting of Tez Walker yet, but that was the big news that came out this week, literally Thursday night. This was one of the big controversies of pretty much the entirety of the early football season, is that Tez Walker, a transfer from Kent State, was deemed ineligible to play at the beginning of the season by the NCAA for a waiver transfer, because Walker transferred from NC Central to Kent State and then transferred subsequently to UNC. And UNC had tried to argue that he should be immediately eligible, but the NCAA initially didn't think so. Thursday night, they ruled him eligible. And so that's someone we'll have to take a look and see if he is available on the field for them. He's wearing number 9 in blue. On the sideline, they're just showing here he is currently not in the formation that we're starting for UNC's second set of downs. 9 minutes to go in the first quarter, 3-0 UNC. May in the shotgun, a lot of pre-snap motion to change the formation. Syracuse looks like it's in a half-man zone concept, and it's going to be an end around to the receiver that only gets a couple of yards. Great job from Stefan Thompson with the edge contain.
Yeah, between him and actually Wax was kind of mirroring that the entire way, forcing him out wide. Really, really helps contain that.
Drake May is a better passer, I would say, than Sam Howell was.
Yeah, we'll give you that idea.
Maybe because he's projected to go number 2 in the draft.
Yeah, that
and immediately rips a slant over to his receiver to pick up the first down. I think you can see that right there.
Mm-hmm. Wait, hold on. They're using the middle of the field?
Well, Syracuse did use the middle of the field in that first set of downs.
Okay, they're completing passes over the middle of the field?
Yes. And maybe this is something we're also now seeing why Damian Alford hasn't really been a guy that Syracuse has wanted to see in the slot, mainly because his talents are usually just more suited to the outside wide receiver role. And even though he's got the height that Syracuse wants in their slot receivers, not necessarily the immediate separation that you need from a slot receiver to get open in the middle of the field quickly to take advantage of Schrader's best abilities. They will take the snap on second down here, and immediately the run defense is showing up. This is a very, very decent sign. Derek McDonald on the wrap up, nowhere to go for Myron Hampton, and then quickly it's going to be second down.
Yeah, nice look from all of them. Of note on the defense, if you missed it, Leon Lowry is now wearing 9. So if you're confused as to,
I did miss that. So thank you. I shall now keep that in mind.
Yep, he has joined the single digits club.
It's really in vogue now for the defenders to join the single digits club.
Well, now that they can all wear them,
exactly.
Why not? That's
May flushed out of the pocket, will only get about 3 yards on the scramble, and again, good edge contain from Stefan Thompson. That's something we didn't see last week against Klubnik.
Yeah, very much so.
Clay Klubnik had the linebackers in a tizzel about what he's going to do once he's out of the pocket, and good to stop May there.
Now, the difference inherently there too is last week you also have Shipley that you need to pay attention to.
This is indeed true.
I mean, on that last play,
shotgun snap, but May escapes the pocket, and a little bit of a slip from Austin Roon, it looks like, on the spy, which allows May to get out of bounds and pick up the first down, and laundry all over the field as well.
Curious where that's going to go, because everything kind of came behind the play, and what we saw wasn't anything to shake a stick at.
Here. Looks like it's going to be a blindside block against UNC, which is going to really help Syracuse here.
Yep.
It is indeed. So a 10-yard penalty will repeat third down, and Syracuse catching a break here.
Yeah, no, and that's, I guess, well, for one, wideouts blocking is an art that is often forgotten, and yeah, that's a completely unnecessary clip on them. That was
It looked like it was a rune, right? 42.
No, it was way after. It was after he had gotten the first already.
No, wow. Well,
It was number 88.
So that is really just a quote unquote boneheaded play that you didn't want to see there.
Yep.
So May will be in the shotgun, approaching 6 minutes on the timer here in the first. He'll take the step, 3-step drop back, pocket collapsing again. He escapes to the left. Can he get to the first down marker this time? No. He stopped about 2 yards short, met there by Lowry and Elijah Clark. And
now that felt much more like what we saw against Klubnik.
Yes.
So,
but there was a lot of space. There was a lot of space there, but you did have the room to play with it. So,
yep.
Not necessarily. But what we saw with Klubnik is that he would just run around the linebackers.
Yeah.
And also didn't have a lot of down yardage to gain, getting 11 yards there. May did well to gain 9 just initially. But Mac Brown deciding not to go for it for his own 39 on 4th and 3. And so the rugby style punt is blocked. Huge block, but now can Syracuse recover because the punter picks up his own fumble, but the referee is going to spot him just a yard short of the first down line as the punter is down in some obvious pain after the big hit. Oh boy, that went from bad to great to bad to great and every which way in between. But it looks like based on where the referee was standing, he was more short of the goal line. You hope that the punter is okay because he took a shellacking on that hit down the sideline.
Yeah,
and it looks like a Syracuse player is also down as well.
That whole contact did not look good on any way, shape, or form, but I think you are right. I think they are probably about a yard short, judging by the spot. That could have been way better. That could have been way worse, and I'll take the way it ended if that's how it ended.
And this is an area again where Syracuse has been up and down pretty much this entire season, special teams. And as when Bob Ligashevsky came in, it seems to have stabilized a little bit, but this is interesting. Let's put it this way.
100%, and that's we've definitely seen more consistency. I think the floor of the special teams this year has significantly risen.
Yes.
I don't think we're at the level that we were a couple years ago, but yeah, it's still, still there, or still something that needs to be worked on rather than a strength of the team.
If you're joining us on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, even on the Fans First Sports Network YouTube or Facebook even. Welcome, Christian Guzman, alongside Steve Howler. Steve will be leaving in around an hour from now to deal with kids stuff. But I'll be with you through the rest of this game as we kind of riff and review and live react to Syracuse. If all goes well and I don't have the same tech problems that I did this week, we'll be sure to try and fire us up again for next week's game against Florida State and as many more games as we can this season, because this is a lot of fun to just live react to you guys as the game's happening. Don't be afraid to join us in the YouTube and Twitch chats as well. Leave your comments. We'll be replying to as many as we can as well.
It's good when I have my mother texting me saying, "Is there a Syracuse guy down too?" No, she was listening to the podcast. Or the live cast. She would know this.
Yes. You are the ones that are informed because you are watching along with us.
It's frightening when we're the ones that are informed, or ones that are informing.
That is a troubling sign at times.
But either way, anything we can glean from defense on that series there, Christian?
The run defense has shown up, but again, I don't know much about UNC's running back, but it's definitely not the two-headed monster that Michael Carter and Javonte Williams was when Syracuse last played UNC. So
Michael Carter, who I always wanted to call Michael Carter Williams.
Indeed, because I remember their other running back was Javonte Williams.
Right. So they did have the tag team of Carter Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Showing the replay.
Showing the replay, yep.
So who was that went down for Cuse?
12? Not sure. Look, it was Dennis Jaquez who got the block.
Who's 12 on special teams?
It looked like it might have been Greg Delane that got the big hit, or it might have been Anwar Sparrow who leveled the hit.
Would have been Sparrow, yeah. How are Sparrow? Okay, never mind. I thought Sparrow and Mackay Mason were both.
But it looks like coming out of the replay, ESPN hasn't updated it, but it looks like the referees might have given UNC the spot for the first down.
Yeah, that seems to be the concurrence on Discord.
Yeah, and so Dino Babers just burned a timeout to force the officials to take a further review at that, which is something that Dave Pasch was just saying on the broadcast. That's something that Dino Babers should not have to do. So it looks like for a second week in a row, we might be in for another set of ref ball.
Good old ACC reffing.
Indeed.
Well,
you could hear some of the Pasch homerism come back to him. Remember Dave Pasch, the former voice of the Orange, before he got more national TV opportunities.
It's always good to see that. Always good to see that. That's like those moments where you see McDonough break down in a ever so slightly.
Yes.
The cracks in the facade, and it's like,
yeah. Remember everyone. Dave Pasch left the Syracuse, great Syracuse job, and now is currently living every American's dream of having to somehow translate the ramblings of Bill Walton. And we thank him for his efforts.
Well, when you've been to enough or as many dead shows as Bill Walton has, there's plenty of ramblings and incoherence.
This is indeed the truth. But again, while we're in the commercial breaks, while they're reviewing this play once again, don't be afraid to hop into the Twitch chats, the YouTube chats, if you want to continue to voice your opinions in order to maybe ask even some questions that you guys want us to answer, even just about Syracuse sports. Remember, basketball is coming up. Yeah, Keon Anthony scheduling his official visit, which we'll definitely talk about tomorrow on the Disloyal Idiots podcast when we do the usual show at 8 p.m.
Yeah, for any of you who are first time tuning in, feel free to swing by again tomorrow or check us out on the website or on your podcatcher of choice, or literally anywhere else you can find us.
I am surprised that my voice is holding up, as Mike mentioned in the Twitch chat earlier. I did call a game yesterday for play-by-play, so my voice is somehow holding up.
There you go.
Congratulations to the Harvard women's volleyball team for winning yesterday against Princeton. That was the game I called, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how you would call a volleyball game. So,
well, it was a lot of fun, and I'm gonna turn on the broadcast sound. So it was Anwar Sparrow who landed the hit. It looks like the ball is definitely short of that line to gain.
Yeah, from that replay, unless there's some other angle that looks definitively behind.
And no, they upheld the call. This is a awful decision by the referees.
Wow. That's some. Well, we can call it home cooking since we're the Syracuse broadcast. So
May back to pass on first down, and immediately he picks up 13 yards on a slant over the middle once again. So immediately UNC just benefiting from another benefit there. I mean, you heard, for those who are listening to the game audio, Dave Pasch and Dusty Dvorak immediately calling it, saying that's should have been indisputable video evidence that he was short of the line to gain. Syracuse will pick up a break on first down here with a false start. That's
Yeah. I don't know how in good conscience you can make that call, but we're not the refs, so I guess it is what it is. As someone who's played and seen a lot of games where it's almost impossible. What's May doing here?
Out route on the sideline, and that's the first reception of Tez Walker. It's an out route, and it showed some great hands. And to the UNC crowd is absolutely loving that their big off-season acquisition is finally getting into the game. Maybach pass on second down and 10. Pump fakes and again escapes the pocket. No one within 10 yards of him, meaning he gets the easy first down.
Should he get more? I thought Wax was going for the face mask there.
Yeah, but so it's weird. It's weird because when the linebackers are dropping back into coverage, they're dropping back really far behind on a scrimmage. It feels like they're whoever is spying, and we saw this last week against Clemson. The spy should be somewhere in front of the line of game. Wouldn't that make sense?
No, I mean only if you're paying attention.
But see, again, on that play, as this pass is incomplete, it looked like it was looking for a Walker in the front pylon, on the left front pylon. If May needed to escape the pocket, I mean, that whole middle of the field between the line of scrimmage and the line of gain was wide open. Just completely overthrowing Walker there, and a little bit of miscommunication on the speed that Walker had.
Yeah, May's not going to miss that throw too many times.
No. Especially as he and Walker get a little bit more comfortable with each other. Second and 10. Soft coverage, and it's going to be a wide receiver screen, and that's just a beautiful play to clear for the other wide receivers to clear out the rest of the DBs and leave only one wideout to have to face off against a DB. That's just a beautifully designed play there from UNC.
Now, I saw Jaden Bellamy is in.
May looking to pass, dumps it off on a check down to the right side to the running back. He sheds a tackle and spins his way down for another 7 yards. So 2:54 left to go in this first quarter. UNC again jumping down the field. Syracuse held them in the red zone on their first possession. Can they do so on possession number 2? But this time the run will get about 5 yards. Good enough for the first down. Just stopped short of the 5-yard line.
Yeah, we're almost back to the
death by 1,000
unintentional
cuts.
Death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah.
Seeing a lot of Austin Roon early on in here. You see Jaden Bellamy, yes, as you noted, is in this game. He's in place in Jeremiah Wilson, and this is something we have to keep on watch. When does Rocky Long go to the transfers? We saw a lot of Miles Farmer and Jaden Gold last week as well. Man, the pistol takes a snap, hands off to the running back. It's around to the right side and just stops short. Fights to get to the 1 and maybe a little bit past the 1. So that's a good run on first down to set up a lot of second and short opportunities here.
Yeah, that's there's only so much you can do in this situation, especially with the defense being on the field as much as they have. It's definitely not ideal.
Yeah, it looks like they just punched it in for the touchdown. It's Drake May who's there on the sneak. So there's the first touchdown of the game as the UNC pom-poms raise into the air at Keenan Stadium.
Well, as noted in the chat, it's the most Syracuse way to possibly go here. Block punt that they got a first down on somehow. Kept the drive alive.
And a bad call from the referees as well. I mean, we'll just call it like we see it. I think some UNC fans will disagree, but I mean, I'm with at least what the broadcast said like that.
Yeah,
that's a missed call from the referees. Extra point is up and good.
That's a call that literally only the UNC fans would disagree with.
Yeah,
strike that, reverse it. Only the UNC fans would agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a little bit of what Drake May can do. Seeing he's
not a lot of it, because we haven't seen the big bomb shots we've seen from Drake May. A lot of it has been like kind of the throws that you would expect Schrader to make to a Gadsden or Jones if they were in this game.
Yeah, very much so. I do wonder, because they're kind of using that UNC once you break contain, what are you going to do? Or sorry, they're using a similar tack to what happened against Clemson, or what's Rocky Long going to do to adjust to this after getting shredded on it 2 weeks in a row, because they're getting good pressure. They're just not able to do anything with the quarterback once he breaks out of the pocket.
One of the things I'm interested right now is also that I think we've seen Mac Brown and whoever his offensive coordinator is actually starting to adjust here. That I think he's starting to realize, hey, if you try to run up the middle against the Syracuse team, it's not going to work. So let's run around to the outside, where, as you notice, especially in that first scramble with May, maybe the edge contain isn't necessarily as okay. And so this is where a lot of pressure was put on Lowry and Thompson. So that'll be an interesting development to see if there's a lot more runs around the outside of the tackles.
Yeah.
Syracuse taking over with a minute 30 left. Schrader takes the snap, hands off to Allen to the outside, immediately met, and loses 3 yards.
Yeah, that's strictly the left side of the line. That's not someone who's supposed to be coming free.
And something that was also noted during the pregame, Kalen Ellis was in a boot. And so maybe what we kind of speculated last week, maybe he was rushed a little bit too quickly back from his injury that kept him out for the first 4 games of the season. As a quick slant route to Donovan Brown is completed. So there is the first reception to a wide receiver. Brown will actually have to come out for a play because he loses his helmet.
Yeah, and that sets up a third and manageable at least. So with Brown out, does that mean we get our first shots of Isaiah Jones, or we just going to keep going down the depth chart?
We may keep going down the depth chart. I think that might be Jones' second from the top on your screen right now. Schrader takes the snap. It's going to be a read option and cuts around to the left. Maybe just route around the blocking there. Couldn't quite do so. And well, I don't disagree with the option play there. That's been something that's worked with for Syracuse a ton. UNC just kind of blew it up immediately. Let's take a look at how Steve out of the blocking. Yeah, just that's difficult.
That was, in all honesty, that's all on Schrader. That guy's supposed to be unmarked, and you're supposed to pitch that 100% of the time. Like, what is he doing there? Like, there's no one marking the pitch man, and he turns around into the unmarked guy.
Stonehouse will send it away with 10 seconds left. This might be returnable, and it is going to be returnable. And the UNC returner runs into his own blocker and will only get 3 yards because of that. And so with 1 second left, we will end the first quarter with one more play.
Yeah, I was pretty worried about us out kicking the coverage there, because Stonehouse's leg is very, very much.
And that's something you saw a lot with Cooney and Hofrichter at times.
Mm-hmm. They can boom it, but you can't get down there quick enough to make up that difference. Oh, the WNBA Finals.
Liberty versus Aces. CNS's very own Brianna Stewart looking for a WNBA title to try and take down the defending WNBA champions of the Aces. That's scary. Liberty lineup of Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart looking to give New York a title.
Yeah, she had 2 in Seattle, right?
Yes.
So
probably be the first New York title since NYCFC, correct?
Yeah, probably. That sounds about right.
Yeah, but
when you go back beyond that, it's even farther.
Yeah, if you want to go to any other 4 major sports, it'll go a little bit farther. So that's the end of the first quarter. Steve has a beverage. I don't, so I will be stepping away for a little bit. Well, I do get a beverage. It's not going to be an alcoholic one. It'll be water.
Yep, this is going to be, for lack of a better description, an interesting affair moving forward. We'll see what we can do on defense coming out of this this TV timeout, but if Rocky Long doesn't make some adjustments to what we're starting to see on that spy, it's going to be a long, long day. Kind of keeps the rest of everything open if, when all else fails, the QB can just break contain. So here's the hoping they've got something dialed up. And yeah, exactly. As you all can tell, I am nowhere near as talented at filling time as Christian is. That's why he does this. That's why I don't. Hey, welcome back.
Hello, everyone. And I procured the said water.
There you go. I was just opining on how much better you are at filling time than I am.
Oh, thank you. Too kind.
Oh,
But that's, again, like, not to boast too much about the natural play-by-play comment that Mike so kindly put in the Twitch chat. I mean, that's kind of what you want to do in play-by-play when you need to fill time. You think about the storylines, what's at stake in this game, what's on stake, not in the game, not just for each team, but for each player. And I mean, for Syracuse, we could probably ramble on for the next week about what's at stake for Syracuse on every single given play.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there's always something going on, and it is an art to be able to figure out what the appropriate things to note and call on and opine on are, and it's a gift I don't have.
Well, let's take a look at immediate takeaways from the first quarter. Offense is looking a little bit iffy, and I think the defense is once again. I hate to say it, but it might be a run back of that 2020 game where the defense is good, do a lot of bending and will not break at certain points, but the offense just isn't going to have enough to support that.
Yeah, I'm curious a couple of times today what Schrader's seeing. But again, we do also need to take this in I guess in stride, because this is a game that we were supposed to lose. Much like next week if people start complaining, and much like last week when people started complaining.
And this is why when I put in my usual TV preview history articles that you might have seen on newsmagician.com on Wednesdays, in the if Syracuse loses section, I just said, please no more injuries. Unfortunately, we might have already seen an injury. It looked like Anwar Sparrow took an injury when he laid that big hit on the punter. And while Sparrow is not a starter, he's definitely a 1A type of guy who gets a lot of plays right there. Hold on.
Coming back to it. Was there anything Dino mentioned there? I don't have any of the game audio on, so
no. I'm muting and unmuting at times. It's just a lot of coach speak from Dino about what we have to get back into it. We'll come back from that call that didn't go our way type of thing.
Gotcha.
Started the second quarter, 2nd and 1. Tight end motions to the right, opposite side. Wide receiver also motioning from the top. It'll be a handoff to the running back who powers his way for his first down, picking up about 6 yards.
Nice block.
Steve can always appreciate good offensive line play, whether it's for the friend or the foe. Made to the outside, and it looked like his pass was deflected at the line.
Oh, I'm somehow ahead of you. It was about
wonderful.
the Baron deflection that I was talking about.
Oh, wonderful. So Steve has jumped a little bit ahead of me.
I love streaming.
Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful thing. We live in the era of technology. I'll be calling it as we say right now, 14:39 right now, referee just backing up. May collapses his hands, two receivers up top into the bottom, takes the snap, quick out to the right, and a quick slant to the tight end, who this is another thing that we've kind of have to start talking about a little as Jason Simmons does eventually take down that big slot receiver down for the tackle. The yards after initial contact that opposing receivers are getting against the Syracuse coverages is a lot because look, even on that next completion to Simmons, when the initial contact is made and they're trying to drag the receivers down, there's the opposing wide receivers are still getting an extra 2 or 3 yards on basically every single tackle attempt. And that's basically been a trend this entire Syracuse season that's kind of been a silent killer.
What else has been a silent killer this game has been the need to bring as many people as we have and still not getting some pressure here. These last 2 drives, we're bringing at least 5, 6 guys, and there's not any pressure on May this entire series. As I say that,
now we will see what Steve is about has just reacted to. 2nd and 10. There's the house that's being brought, and May's flushed out of the pocket, floating a ball over to number 6, Elijah Clark, all over him to deny the pass opportunity. So it'll be 3rd and 7. It's good coverage from Elijah Clark. People forget that Clark was a DB and not just a DB, a center, a cornerback. Center back.
He's a center back?
Yes.
He might be a little small.
Maybe small in terms of like muscle span wise, but definitely seems to have the height. As May takes the snap, he's looking to his receiver. It's going to be a check down to the running back. And again, Syracuse can't wrap him up to prevent him from diving forward to get an extra 3 yards. Maybe that's something I'll have to write about on the website. Because we've seen that a couple of times where the initial contact is pretty good, but a receiver either drags or dives forward to get even more yards. And that's something we don't see from the Syracuse receivers. May looking over the top. That's a beautiful ball. Amon Greenwood all over the receiver, but that's just a beautifully placed ball. That's a guy who's worthy of the number 2 pick.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say it. I'm going to sound crazy, but these last 2 weeks, we've said for the entire year that the games would live and die by Garrett Schrader. And both last week and this week, at this point, this week at least, it seems like something is off. And I don't want to say something is off, but he's not seeing things the way he has in the past, or the opposition has come up with something to show him that maybe throwing him off a little.
It could be as simple as just the talent level.
It could be.
Because, well, let's face it, as much as Purdue is a Power 5 opponent, that was clearly a Purdue team that has just not been good this year. Like, let's just call it like we see it.
Yeah.
And that might be cruel to our friends at Boiler Alert and Hammer and Rails, but that was a Purdue team that was definitely not up to the standards that you would expect a Big Ten team just in general to be up to.
No, and they're down 10-0 to Iowa right now. So,
and anytime Iowa gets to double digits in points, it's a sign that alarm should be raised to DEFCON 1.
Yeah. Yeah, are they allowed to? They're allowed to score points?
That is a mystery that remains to be seen.
Yeah,
been spoken of in tales, manuscripts that have been lost, perhaps in ancient Greek times. Maybe the secrets were burned up during the explosion of Mount Vesuvius. Who knows?
Seems about right.
I now want a Ninja wood fire oven. Thank you, ads. At least we're not watching ACC network ads.
It's true. Slightly better. It's still the same ad every time. It's just different ads every time.
Well, it's because on at least on these national broadcasts, the ads that we see all the time on the streams, those get filtered out for local ads on
Yep.
on other broadcasts, on
Yeah.
linear broadcasts, I should say.
So instead, we get the slap chop for the 7,000th time.
Mm-hmm.
What's whatever the tape is? Something seal.
Yeah. Again, if you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, be sure you're following along. And by following me, subscribe to the YouTube page, follow along on the Twitch page, follow along on our Twitter page as well. And don't be afraid to leave some comments in the Twitch and YouTube chat to interact with us and bemoan the fortunes of Syracuse, are currently down 17-0.
How does North Carolina almost have 40 plays already?
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Mm-hmm. So, if you were to say this was a must-score drive,
it's getting to feel like that, and I think we're also at the point where we also, again, it's another one of those. Okay, how do you get LeQuint Allen into space type of drives?
I mean, we could try with getting LeQuint Allen the ball. Period.
This is true. You make great points.
He's had what, 3 carries, maybe,
if that.
He had the 1 9-yard gain right off the bat, and then the short one left that he got holed up on. And yeah, that might have been it. I mean, we've only run, 10 plays?
If that.
Did we get a first down?
No, we did a couple, but definitely not after that.
Oh, I love our commentary at On Noon sometimes. People saying that Dino should have ripped the refs in the interview in the middle of a game.
Yes, because that is how Dino Babers operates, of course.
And
that's what we know Dino Babers to do.
What's that going to do? Is that going to help in any way, shape, or form in the middle of a game?
Schrader in shotgun takes the snap, hands off to Allen, who's trying to run around the left side. So the ball did go to Allen, but left side, it looked like UNC kind of just overloaded the left side and they didn't allow Allen to go anywhere.
Yeah, just a rough play call into, not a bad play call, but a rough call as to directionality when they lined up.
Backfield for Schrader. He goes over to the middle and it's caught by Donovan Brown. And Brown was that slot receiver guy that I think people expected to take place when Gadsden and Jones went down. And after a couple of rough drops from Brown during the middle of the season, a little bit better there. Quick fire snap looked like to Dan Villari.
It was.
Villari goes into the slot this time and find a way to tight end once again begins its resurgence back in CNY.
There we go. Sorry, I'm way ahead of you now, but
I may try and refresh my stream at the next break to see if I can catch up to you.
Oh, I was ahead of you. The next break, it'll just switch. It's just completely arbitrary, I feel.
Never mind. Schrader over the middle, and again another pass completed. It looked like Alford this time hung on and shrugged off a couple of guys as well, or that might have been Umari Hatcher. Couldn't quite tell. No, yes, Umari Hatcher. Schrader taking. That's interesting. The interesting hurry-up offense play on the first down. We've seen that both times. The tight end, wide receiver, tight end screen to Villari, but Schrader has been taking that from under center and not in shotgun. So that's an interesting wrinkle to add to Syracuse's hurry-up, slight tempo style. The first time we saw the Babers offense. Option to Allen, and this time Schrader keeps it and picks up about 6 or 7 yards. So that's a good play from Schrader that time on the option and makes up a very manageable third down here with about 10:32 left to go. Although Steve is shaking his head on the stream right now, and I'm about to see probably a play that I'm not going to like. So what am I seeing? Schrader collapse, takes the snap, looking left, trying to find somewhere to go, trying to escape around the pocket. Still has absolutely nowhere to throw and loses the football. Ball is on the ground, and this might be UNC ball.
Ref signaled Syracuse, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's UNC.
And that looks like a coverage sack more than anything. And this is something we saw a lot from. Yeah, this looks like it'll be UNC ball. No, the refs are keeping it a Syracuse ball. So Syracuse catching a break there. But this is just another one of those things like what we saw from the Clemson game where just it seems like on broken plays like that, Syracuse receivers don't necessarily know what to do to help their quarterback. Short field for Stonehouse to punt to. Can he pin them inside? Yes, as the catch is made by Syracuse cover guy at the 5. So long field for UNC to drive down for at least.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, would you agree with me that was a coverage sack?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, that was, well, I don't know. Without seeing downfield, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It was that sag was 100% on Garrett Schrader. I don't know whether it was coverage or him just trying to do something that wasn't there, which is what it partially seemed like.
Now, from an offensive line standpoint, you've talked about this a lot, where Schrader kind of gets happy feet in the pocket. That might have been another one of those situations as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much. And you could see he's trying to bolt to the right, even though the pocket's holding there and there's no issues. But then tries to, there's nothing to belly to the right. He tries to cut up. There's somebody that collapses there over Jacob Bradford. And then, you're stuck where he was. So at that point, like either commit hard to what you're doing or keep your eyes downfield and find somebody. Those are your options at that point. It's rough as an offensive lineman to see things like that happening. Like I'm sure his line understands that sometimes he's, going to make plays like that. So I don't know. It's frustrating. Especially with someone with as much running talent as he has, for him to be as rough decision making as he has sometimes.
And it's something you would have hoped that Schrader would have worked on, especially now, is the fact of third year as a starter in this Syracuse team.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the dichotomy of Schrader as well, because as much as a quarterback is as he is in name, I think most of us understand that he is a runner first. And as it looks like Steve has just momentarily dropped out, we'll see if we can get him back here into the watch party, or if a kid has called to his attention. Once again, guys, if you're just joining us here on the Disloyal Idiots stream, follow us along on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Feel free to leave some comments about what you think about the game so far. Let's get a couple of discussions going. And as the broadcast is just joining us back here, we've got Steve trying to reconnect to us.
Got it.
Yep, Steve has just joined back to us now, and
technical difficulties are the name of the game today.
Indeed. We hope those don't happen tomorrow. Again, you can always join us on weekends, as more specifically Sundays at 8 p.m. when we'll do our Disloyal Idiots podcast. We'll recap, obviously, this UNC game. Look ahead next week to FSU. We'll talk about the other Syracuse news and that has happened during the week, including official basketball visits being scheduled, most notably Keon Anthony, and also a big win for the Syracuse men's soccer team yesterday against the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah,
UNC starting deep in their own end zone, and that's the first bad pass you could say from May. Well, one of a few bad passes to May, and again, not quite on sync with Tez Walker, as it was a little bit too low for his quote unquote new wide receiver.
I keep forgetting how far behind you are.
Oh, wonderful. Great. I did try to refresh my stream, but it looks like I'm still far behind. May takes the snap, looking left now, trying to scramble out of the end zone and get sacked from behind. It'll be 3rd and long, as it looked like Leon Rowley, the pass rushing specialist, got to him.
Yeah, it's been good to see Lowry's growth over the last 2 years.
And it was a little bit of a question whether it would be Lowry or even Enwar Sparrow who would take that 3rd linebacker position, or maybe even if it was Stephon Thompson. But Lowry has settled into it nicely, and he's made impact play after impact play almost every week. Now, May looking to the sideline, and that's just a beautiful, beautiful catch. Now, that's the sideline accuracy that you expect from Drake May, and just from a quarterback of his ilk in general. Not much that it looks like Isaiah Johnson, who kind of slipped there, but not much you could probably do about that. That's just a great throw from May. They got to run to the outside, which we're starting to see more often from the Tar Heels. So I'll pick up 5. That's something I think that's been good to see in terms of the Syracuse play calling, that Jason Beck hasn't called, I don't think, a single sideline throw for Garrett Schrader.
Well, we saw how well that worked a couple weeks ago. So
exactly. 2nd and 10, May takes the snap, looking for a receiver over the middle. He's absolutely wide open with no one in that zone coverage. Good Lord, help me, please. For those who are frequent listeners of the podcast, I haven't really made this part of my persona known, you could say, on the website, but Syracuse's zone defense absolutely infuriates me. That's another great catch on the sideline. Not much Elijah Clark could do there. It's 2nd down and short now.
this is fine. Everything's fine.
And I think this is just a playbook of how teams are going to beat Syracuse. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Because Syracuse has done a great job of limiting explosive plays just in general throughout this entire season. But the chip plays that teams are picking up against the Syracuse defense seem to be almost too easy to come by.
Oh yeah, JJ McCarthy.
I'm surprised to see ESPN is showing a graphic of Mel Kiper's top 5 quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. As good as Shedeur Sanders has been, I'm surprised that he's jumped up that far on a lot of people's big boards.
Stephon Thompson is down.
Fire, dog and fire, this is fine meme.
Yeah, everything's fine. I don't want to say it, but like that block punt really changed the whole face of this. It kept the defense on too much.
That was a.
And now they're gassed, and until halftime, they're going to be hemorrhaging anything because the offense can't stay on the field. This is the definition of what we had as a Syracuse program for way too long of, hey, this defense is quote unquote looking like a bag of ass because they're on the field way too long.
AKA 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say I told you so, but that's exactly what I predicted in my predictions. This is exactly the game that I thought would happen. It's exactly a repeat of the 2020 game. It's infuriating that I'm right now.
Yeah.
A reminder for people, that was a 31-6 win for UNC at Kenan Stadium to open up the 2020 season. That opened up very similarly. I think we were all impressed by the introduction of the 3-3-5 in that game. But the offense just didn't do anything. And at least from what we've seen in that 2020 game, the main reason why we were infuriated about the offense is because the play calling just wasn't good in 2020. Here, it's just that the talent right now is not there, and Yes, it'd be interesting to see how this game would change if Syracuse did have a healthy Oronde Gadsden and a healthy Isaiah Jones to help them along,
And a healthy Kalen Ellis.
and a healthy Kellen Ellis, and hell,
Sorry,
even a
I
healthy
had to get
Joe.
my offensive line plug in.
Well, hell, even a healthy Joe Moore, because
Yeah.
yes, when we're not sure if he would have started or not, but it definitely sounded like he was in position to get a starting spot. Maybe even a healthy David Wallapa, like because
Yeah.
he looked good in those
Yeah, if
first.
everybody didn't forget, you had your starting right tackle also go down in
I
this
mean,
injury mess.
and Dino said, he was impressed with Wallapa from what he saw after that first game. Yes, it was against Colgate, but he's still impressed. The rest of the line didn't look that great, but it's it's tough to say right now with the injuries. We're right back into the action. 1st and 10 at the Syracuse 49. May in the pistol takes the snap. Play action. Looking left now, looking right downfield, taking a shot. And that's a beautiful touch pass over Bellamy and into the hands of the receiver. And there's the big explosive play that I mentioned. Syracuse has been so good at limiting, but when you've got a quarterback like Drake May, if you're just able to get a step on your covered guy, and there's your opportunity to absolutely light up the stat sheet.
Yeah. Well, when the defense is been out there
And there's a
for
touchdown as May on the option pitches it to his tight end.
yeah. The I believe that officially makes it 50 plays that UNC has run this half. So if anyone thinks this is on the defense, yes, it's partially there, but like, come on.
Let's see if we can pull up full team stats here now on
I've got them on the UNC side over here, or the UNC site.
Passing 20. It looks like it might be somewhere around 48, but close to 50 because May has passed 26 times and 22 rushes have occurred. So it is indeed what the kids would call not great right now.
Yeah, the current, sorry, it was 48 plays, 16 for Syracuse. Now, I'm not a
and that's the big
doctor.
difference is that UNC also, like Syracuse is kind of also doing the same thing that UNC wants to do. They're trying to go for the chip plays. It's just that they're not executing on them. Just kind of simple as that. It's like it seems like both teams have like a very similar game plan.
Yeah, it does kind
I
of
mean,
seem that way.
would you agree, right? Because Trader's not taking any deep downfield shots. May has really only taken 2. That one there that we just saw, and the other one was the incompletion to Tez Walker.
Now, one is a game plan, and the other is a limit of what we're given.
This is true, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, I just don't get it. I mean, hypothetically, Syracuse could put a drive together right now and take some points into the half, but like this one's close to over.
It is. It's very close to over, and now we have to start asking: is this a worrying sign, or is this just a symptom of the competition?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah, that's what I was worried you were going to say, and I'm hoping that it's not.
Yeah, one would hope.
And I kind of like what I said at the beginning of this season. It's kind of one of those things where we're actually not going to know what this team is until after the Virginia Tech and Boston College games.
Right. Yeah.
At the end of this month.
For all we know, we come out of this stretch, we win those 2, we're bowl eligible, and everyone's,
everyone's
okay,
happy, yippee ki yay.
Right. But right now, like the sky is, we're literally chicken littling, losing to Clemson and the number 14 team in the country, who just got their arguably best transfer receiver in.
And you got to remember, this is a Clemson team that lost to Duke, who is still, I think, in the top 25, even after their loss to Notre Dame, I think.
Yep.
I could be wrong with that. Like again, Duke, who's currently in the top 25, and to Florida State, who is vying for a playoff spot.
Right. They're number 5 right now, and Clemson took them to overtime.
Yeah,
And we
and
were still in that game in the fourth quarter.
and Texas lost, so Florida State right now by the AP rankings is in a playoff spot.
Yep.
And it's not like also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think UNC was also just coming off a bye week.
I think yes, they were.
So this is not only a rested UNC team. When you take a look at next week, Florida State is playing Virginia Tech, who you would expect that they don't have to excruciate too much effort in beating the Hokies, you would think.
What's a Hokie?
A
They play
time old
football there?
question. A time old question that we will never know the answer to.
Oh, boy. Well,
So what do you want to see from Syracuse on this next drive? Other than move the ball down the field? Like
I was
what
going to
does
say a heartbeat.
yeah.
Anything like, I guess, some semblance of confidence. Because right now it feels like they're playing scared.
First
And
snap
it's
is another
understandable.
first snap is another read option. Schrader could have probably handed it off to Allen to get a couple yards, but instead he accepts to keep it and only gets 2.
This seems to be a recurring theme. That is the third time this game we've said that. Probably should have handed it to LaQuinn Allen and takes it himself. Does this sound like Garrett Schrader of 2 years ago that we were complaining about?
Second down and 8, Schrader looking to pass. Still looking over the middle. Now gets a pass, and it's complete to Amari Hatcher, who had to jump up to get that. Forward progress will give him the first down just a yard past the marker.
You're back ahead of me now.
Okay, good. 5:27 left now in this game. Schrader takes the snap, handoff to Allen, and he'll get about 3 yards. Flag on the play, though. Steve's favorite holding call might bring this one back.
Mm-hmm.
The temperaments of live streaming. Personal foul. Oh, it's tripping. Even worse.
That's good. On who? I didn't see anybody go flying.
The broadcast said West Ho. It might be Mark Petrie.
I was going to say, is West Ho even remote? If West Ho is near the field, we've got a
lot. No, it was Chris Blush.
Oh, well, that's, yeah.
Because it sounded like the official said 73, but nope, it was 63. And that is Chris Blush. So it'll be 1st and 25 now at 15 yards, and it's a low throw over the middle that Donovan Brown has no chance of getting. So 5:04 left in this second quarter, and I mean, after the completion on the first set of downs, we're back at a very similar problem where penalties will kill a Syracuse drive before it even has a chance to get going once again. So 2nd and 25, Schrader takes the snap, 3-step drop, pocket collapsing, wide, and it'll be a running back screen to Allen. So here's Allen in some space and manages to pick up about 10 of the yards back. So it'll be about 3rd and about 16. So still an error to go for Syracuse.
3rd and 16 is exactly where you want to be, right?
Yep.
Got him right where you want him.
Yeah, 3rd and 17 from Syracuse's 29. They have to get to their 46 in order to pick up the first down. Schrader getting an audible on the call as Brown will switch to the far side. Alford will go into the slot in a stack formation with Hatcher on the near side of your screen. Schrader takes the snap, dropping back, pocket collapsing. Now have to rush outside, and maybe got happy feet again. Not sure exactly where the coverage, how good the coverage was. It took a long time to try and make a decision on that throw.
Dan Valera was open.
And I do think Schrader once again got happy feet there.
Chris Bleish didn't block anybody. There was nobody for him to block, but he didn't block anybody. that was very confusing.
So Jack Stonehouse. A positive sign here is Jack Stonehouse is actually getting some good punts off. We saw in his first outdoor game against Purdue, it was a little bit of a struggle for Stonehouse, but he's getting some good punts off here, which is in theory making the UNC drives that much harder to do.
Well, that just means they have more plays to run, and our
Exactly.
defense gets more gassed.
3:22 left on the clock. That's plenty of time for UNC to try and get another score before halftime. Syracuse will get the ball to start the second half. If
Really?
that's any consolidation for Cuse
Great.
fans. But this might be a point where UNC will put up 31 before this is all said and done.
Yeah.
May will take the snap, looking back, 3-step drop, and another completion over the middle, over the heads of McDonald and Wax. And once again, the wide receiver drags his tackler for another 5 yards. There's Justin Barron, had the initial contact, but couldn't bring him down immediately. I know PFF usually has those stats, Pro Football Focus. It'll be interesting to see some of those after, as a little pitch from May goes absolutely nowhere. It'll be interesting to see if PFF logs how significant the yards after contact were in this game for UNC, because it feels like a lot. And it feels like it's another one of those worrying trends that is not necessarily just because of level of competition you're facing. Second down, it's a handoff and a run to the left, and it's a pickup of about 6 yards. So third down and short / medium for UNC.
These guys just have no legs left at this point.
Yep, completely dead. May, quick pass, and nice jump of the route by Elijah Clark. Clark continues to be good. He's been good all season.
Yeah.
And he is really showing it there. UNC is going to stay on the field to go for it on fourth down from their own 43, maybe try and catch Syracuse offside. I'm
going to do the smart thing and remove myself from our game thread on the website.
Maybe we'll take the snap and another good and more good coverage here. No flag thrown, as they're going to say that Jason Simmons had too much contact with the receiver there. And
that was some questionable laundry.
Yeah, I'm not. I think that was more good coverage than it was.
Also, only our second penalty today, so.
Yeah, but both penalties have been absolute backbreakers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I don't know about that one.
He was a little early. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
And it was the guy from behind. Oh, 2 guys through. Okay, whatever.
Well, on the new set of downs, it'll be a wide receiver screen. But once again, how many times are we going to keep saying this? Like, the running back twists out of the initial contact and falls forward to get 3 extra yards.
Like, right, and that's Justin Barron, who's supposed to be a decent open field tackler.
Like, it's been just this entire game. And that's not just entire game, entire season, as the tip drill doesn't go the way of Syracuse. It just falls incomplete, 3rd and 5. Like, Steve, call me delusional if you think I am being, but it feels like that's just been a worrying trend this entire season, not just in this game.
No, it really, yeah. I won't disagree with you. It's something that we've seen, and we'll, as dumb as it sounds, we'll probably continue to see. I'm
3rd and 5. That's just beautifully executed around with Syracuse playing soft coverage again. What are we doing?
Because they don't have the athletes to not get burnt on deep coverage, as we've seen. Or on tight coverage, should I say?
Indeed.
Yeah, it's this overall has been a relatively disappointing game. So hopefully we can figure something out in the second half and get something going.
Yeah, once again, Syracuse cannot contain May in the scramble after his initial read on the Walker screen was denied. Darton missing a tackle there on the dive, and no
Yes.
one within the 10-yard box to try and contain May.
So a D lineman and McDonald and Darton all missed him somehow.
And Darton is now slow to get up as well.
I mean, someone that size should not be diving like that, but that's just me. As a former someone that size.
Have you tried to dive like that before?
Yes. It ended about as well as his did.
No, congratulations.
Yeah. I learned these things through experience, my friend.
Mm.
If I tried to do it now, my body would explode.
This is indeed not ideal. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
May looking to pass once again. This one's a little too low, but when your receivers are on it with your quarterback, those are completions. And it's about an 8-yard completion for another set of downs. Flags on the play, though. There's actually might be coming back, so a little bit of Syracuse favor here.
Yay.
Illegal use of hands to the face on UNC will make it first and long now. And it looks like that'll actually push UNC out of the red zone.
Well, I wish I could hang around, but on that note, I do have to take off. So I bid you adieu, and it's been a pleasure watching this.
Well, thank you, Steve, for joining us on this unfortunate watch party so far. Again, you can join Steve, myself, and maybe Andy Pregler. We'll get to be seen tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll talk about the rest of this game in more detail and take a preview of the FSU game and do the usual things we do on the Disloyal Idiots podcast, Disloyal Idiots podcast on Sundays at 8 p.m. Steve, thank you so much for at least spending some time here.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Christian. And good luck watching the rest of this.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
This has been a rough game for Syracuse so far. For all my friends still watching on the live stream, it's now second down after the first down play went for about 5 yards and May now forced out of the pocket. So 3rd and 16. Interesting to see that Freddie Kitchens has actually gone to this UNC staff. The former Browns coach. This has not been Syracuse's day so far. I think we can all agree on that. It's going to be a lot for Syracuse to even try and sniff at an attempt at a comeback in this game. 3rd and 16, May takes a snap looking left, check down to his running back, and that's going to be good for about 10 or 12 yards. The pile will try and push him a bit further, but it'll be about 3 yards short of the marker. So it'll be about 4th down and 3. But about 16 seconds left. May was going to want to call a timeout, but we'll try and let the clock run down before UNC decides if they want to go for a field goal or go for it this on 4th down. And UNC will take the timeout with 11 seconds left. So early stoppage of the clock here probably indicates that UNC wants to go for this 4th down touchdown. If you're a frequent reader on the site on this position, I like to do grades. What do you and the grades are usually separated by position group, go quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, and special teams. Well, if you're in the chat right now, don't be afraid. What are maybe some of your first half grades? Maybe we can ask this to Mike Ostrowski, also on the Nunes Magician site, who joins us here right now. It's not been good. Let's put it that way.
No.
The grades for the individual groups that I would be putting out on Monday would probably reflect that as well.
Yeah, it's been a half of football.
That is indeed what we would call it. 4th and 3 now. UNC is going to go for this with 11 seconds left. May takes the snap in shotgun, but Laundry immediately stops. No Laundry, as Syracuse is actually going to call timeout as Dino Babers saw the formation and maybe wants to adjust things here. And Mike, I know you and I were going to hesitate about this. At least you were going to hesitate about this, and I keep hesitating about this every time I bring this up. But this is turning eerily similar to the 2020 game that these two teams played.
Yeah, just a little. For those unaware, that was my first official SU game, watching in the main lounge of Sadler, and at least we put points up in that game.
That's putting it nicely. And it looks like with Syracuse calling that timeout, Mac Brown is actually going to shift focus and actually just bring out his field goal unit. So Babers may be potentially saving a touchdown here.
I honestly can't tell if you're ahead of me or behind.
Well, kick is now up, and it is good. So 7 seconds left, and UNC has just taken a 27-point lead.
Yeah.
So that's where I am in my stream.
Okay, yeah, we are pretty synced up.
Okay, very nice. Steve and I were actually trading who was in front and who was behind in terms of our streams.
Well, I'm actually at my house, so I am watching on cable.
Oh, yeah, right. Because for like the first time in like forever, Syracuse decided to have a spring break this year. I don't know, a fall break this year.
A fall break, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I have this on to go watch preseason hockey in about an hour.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds like a better use of your time than what this is. I have resigned myself to the fortune that I have to watch the rest of this mess.
I will at least try to follow along.
Try is a kind word. Unfortunately, with all this time left on the clock, this will probably be a kneel and run into the halftime locker room play out of the break.
That is exactly what it was.
Oh, so you're a bit more ahead of me. Because I'm just getting to the kickoff now.
Yeah, it was literally touchback and then kneel.
Yeah, so you are ahead of me because Schrader is just running onto the field on my stream. But that's halftime, and your score at half is 27-0 in favor of the UNC Tar Heels. Mike, you might be correct on UNC's point in terms of what your prediction was. You probably aren't going to be right in terms of what Syracuse points are.
You never know. Garbage time might help me out.
So you're trusting Carlos Del Rio Wilson to lead you to 23 points?
You never know.
I'm actually interested to see while we head into halftime. Mike does helps compile the our bets on Tally Site in terms of what we think, in terms of the predictions of obviously winners, but also in terms of spread, who is going to cover games or not. I'm interested. Who decided that Syracuse was going to cover in this game? And it looks like it was Andy and Kevin who decided that Syracuse was going to cover this game. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
No, unless we get a... what year was it where it was the Seahawks and the Panthers in the playoffs? And it was like 31-0 at halftime, and then the Seahawks somehow made it like a 3-point game at the end.
I do not remember that.
Sorry, oddly specific. I just remember watching that.
Well, you and I are lovers of trying to figure out the spread. You've actually done very well on you've done very well on trying to guess the spread correctly this year so far. And it looks like you're your Marshall plus 6.5 is off to a good start here, or at least looking towards a good finish here. Marshall playing NC State, and NC State struggling once again with Marshall, as they struggled last week against Louisville, only up by 4 against the Thundering Herd. Taking a look around also the ACC, FSU next week is Syracuse's opponents, and they are having, as suspected, an easy time with Virginia Tech, currently up 22-3. And that's another thing that's going to be unfortunate. I mean, like we mentioned, for those who have been sticking around in the stream, the UNC is coming off a bye week. Florida State is getting a relatively easy opponent before Syracuse. So these are opponents, this opponent and the next one for Syracuse, that are essentially going to be rested.
Now, the good news is we do get some of that luck back at the end of the year with our last couple opponents. Wake, the very last game of the year, Wake comes in off playing Notre Dame. I think Pitt, maybe one of the other November games, is sandwiched in between Clemson and Notre Dame.
I'm gonna help look this up right now with you. So if we take a look at the Pitt schedule, Pitt has to play Notre Dame and Florida State in back-to-back weeks before traveling to Yankee Stadium to play Syracuse. So that's going to be tough for Pitt. If we take a look at Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech has an awful sandwich. They play Clemson, and then they play us in Syracuse before ending the season with the traditional Georgia Tech-Georgia game, which is just not fun for Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Now, this is a rough schedule for Georgia Tech. They play Miami this week, then at least have a bye next week, but then play Boston College. I mean, that's going to be a toss-up of a game right now, especially. Then play UNC, then Virginia. Georgia Tech should win that game, but then play Clemson, then play Syracuse, and then play Georgia. That's not a kind schedule to Georgia Tech.
No, like they should beat Virginia, but really, you're probably looking at another 3, maybe 4-win season again.
I mean, this is a Georgia Tech team that looked fairly decent to start the year. I mean, staying within 1 score against Louisville, beating Wake Forest, but then that Bowling Green loss kind of took a lot of the wind out of the sails of that Georgia Tech team. I'm also glad to say we all took Army's points, and Army ended up losing because we absolutely have no faith in Boston College. It shows you how badly this game is going for Syracuse, because we're talking about literally anything else other than this Syracuse game.
Well, look. 2021 Louisville, 2022 FSU. It was going to happen. If this implies that next week will not be as bad, I will take it.
I'm going to take a look at some of the halftime stats that we're seeing on the screen right here. Schrader's only got 55 yards, 8-11 passing. So the passing's been good. The rushing numbers have not been there. This is something that we've kind of mentioned, Mike. Steve and I noticed is that Schrader's decision-making on the option plays have not been good this game.
No, and I've also noticed he seems to be staying in the pocket way too long.
Yes, that's something we also noticed. I mean, it's not been good. Tez Walker, in his return to action, has been targeted quite a few times, only 12 yards so far. The long reception to Nate McCollum. Ryan Nesbitt has been doing great jobs of doing the death by 1,000 cut things for Syracuse. Not much in the receiving game. It seems like after Damian Alford in that first series kind of dropped the ball, was a little bit late on a route on a second ball. Syracuse kind of went away from him.
Well, the first series that I didn't see because LSU Missouri was still, well, not even LSU Missouri. The 5-minute Brian Kelly interview after that game was still going on.
But that's necessary. You needed to give Brian Kelly 5 minutes on TV. And that was also an LSU without Deuce Chestnut, if you remember. For those who didn't see, Deuce Chestnut, who started the year as the starting quarterback, didn't have a great second half against Florida State. But unfortunately, it looks like he's kind of been shuffled out of the rotation of LSU and didn't travel with the team to play Missouri, whether that was a coaching decision, whether that was due to personal reasons, something else, we're not quite sure. But that's kind of unfortunate to see for Chestnut, who I think all of us, even though he decided to transfer to LSU, I think a lot of us expected him to, at least perform there at some adequate level, and it just hasn't appeared that has been the case so far in Chestnut's LSU career.
Yeah, he stepped up big time when he had opportunities at SCU, so you maybe didn't expect him to play quite up that level against SEC competition, but for him to just fall right off the depth chart is a little concerning.
So you hope nothing else is actually really that wrong with Deuce Chestnut, because that's too talented. He's too talented of a player to just be sitting on the bench just in any capacity.
Meanwhile, Clemson is playing down to the competition. It is only 7-3 at halftime.
Do you expect anything else from Clemson?
I'm kind of just not used to Clemson being this version of Clemson.
I knew there was a reason why we took the Wake points in this game, Mike. Are we the only two who took the Wake points? Yeah, we are. Huh? How about that? Yes. I wish our tally site graphic also showed the over-unders, because I've actually done pretty well in the over-unders this season.
Oh, I can set it to show the over-unders.
Ooh, do that. I would love to see that, because, again, selfishly, I've been doing good on that. That'll be for next week. If you want to join us on Tally Site and join us on the website, so wax poetic on those on the ACC games and the picks for all those games around the Atlantic Coast Conference, soon to be the All Coast Conference, or whatever the hell we decide to name it.
The All Coastal Conference.
The All Coastal Conference, indeed. Make sure you comment on the News Edition site when Mike puts out that article on Friday with our staff picks on Tally Site, to just have a little fun about who's winning games, who's covering the spread, who's going to show up on bad beats on SVP. Because if you're like me, yes, I picked Duke to win, but Duke 5.5 was a pretty good pick until it wasn't. At least Mike gets basketball season soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if we're going to actually have you on the podcast or not yet, Mike, because we kind of usually decide these day of. But we can get a little bit of your input on this, because we are Disloyal Idiots, and we still want to talk about all things Syracuse stuff. One of the big pieces of news this week is that Keon Anthony has set his official visit date for Syracuse, and the next coming of the Anthony generation is one step closer to potentially joining Syracuse once again.
I'm just going to say, if he does, great. If he doesn't, I respect his decision for maybe wanting to have a different legacy than Carmelo. But I honestly do think he will end up going to Syracuse. Call me an optimist, but
you would think so, right?
yeah. But just with how well Autry's done in the short term, with hitting on just about everything, we got a reason to be a little optimistic for once.
Autry's performance, jury's still out on what he's going to do in the recruiting scene. Well, in terms of the transfer portal, obviously he hit it out of the park. Mm-hmm. But it was Autry's relationship that he built with kids on the recruiting trail is where really the bread and butter of his success was, because that's the reason why guys like JJ Starting and Chance Westry decided to join the Orange, because of the relationship that Autry had built with them during their initial recruitment out of high school. And you saw it when Boeheim was a coach. He basically didn't go on recruiting trips anymore. It was all his assistants. And I'm not sure how much that changes with Autry or not. If Autry is still going to be that type of coach who does go on the recruiting trips and does go and try and make those personal connections with potential recruits, because he's going to naturally just have a lot more responsibilities as the new big man on campus.
You really should. And just based on who he's been getting, I think compared to GMAC, at least at GMAC, he's been the top recruiter on staff these last couple of years.
That was Autry's main role, and played a big role in Judah Mintz coming to Syracuse as well. Probably played a big role in him staying at Syracuse. So there's optimism in the Syracuse basketball arena for the first time in quite some time. For better or for worse, let's go back to this game between Syracuse and UNC.
And that's my cue.
Are you actually going to tip out? No, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I have to in a minute or two, so.
Okay, yeah. So Mike, at least thanks for joining me on this halftime amusement of what this game has been so far for Syracuse, as unfortunate as it might have been. And I think the total yards of 424 for UNC to the 70 of Syracuse is basically all you need to see.
That is a Matt Canada graph right there.
Yep. That's all I have to say on that.
All right.
Well, Mike, thank you for taking a little bit of time. Go enjoy the hockey. It will probably be a lot more interesting than whatever this is.
I will try. Thank you.
All right, Mike. Thanks for joining us on our watch party here. Again, if you're listening along on our Twitch or YouTube and you're still along with us, thanks for sticking around for this entire thing, first of all. But join us on in the chat and give a little bit of your amusements about what do you think Syracuse needs to do to improve, what obviously your thoughts on the game so far, what Syracuse needs to change maybe for future games coming up. I mean, FSU obviously next week is going to be a little bit tough, and probably a lot tough, a lot more tough than UNC, given that where they are in the rankings before Syracuse has that bye week, before taking on that Thursday matchup at Lane Stadium, that scary atmosphere on the weeknight. Of course, if you're not following along on Twitter as well, make sure to follow our Disloyal Idiots page at Disloyal_Idiots on Twitter, and follow News Magician as well on Twitter, News Magician on Twitter as well. Still at halftime in this game. We can continue to look over a couple more of these stats, as rough as they have been. Jack Stone has actually done pretty well for Syracuse. Again, looking at the team stats, the penalties is something that Syracuse, you want to see them work on a bit more just throughout this season in general. That has been a decent sign to see that Syracuse is kind of settled down in the penalty department, but the yard total is not what you want to see. That's just an awful discrepancy to see. And UNC has just been just flat out more efficient with their plays, and the option for Syracuse has just not been there. Allen with only 7 yards. Probably should have a bit more, but has been stopped on a couple of yards, and on the plays where he's had the opportunity to get more yards, he is not shown up in terms of because Schrader has decided, hey, I'm going to keep a ball or pitch a ball and do opposite things that you would think. Again, there is the silver lining that this is a UNC team that is ranked 14th in the country. That's by the AP poll. It's 13th in the coaches poll. And it's a UNC team that, has the projected number 2 pick in the draft. Caleb Williams is probably going to go 1, but all signs point to Drake May getting picked number 2 to whoever is going to end up that way. There's a lot of teams that are going to vie for that. I'm actually curious right now what the current NFL draft order is. We'll be looking that up on my second computer here. And it looks like Chicago, by way of Carolina, has a first overall pick, and then Chicago might have the first top 2 picks. So this could be interesting with Chicago getting 2 great picks and having basically their pick of either Drake May or Caleb Williams, should they decide that they do not believe anymore in Justin Fields, which would be very, very interesting. Las Vegas has an interesting conundrum at quarterback, same with Denver. You could argue Minnesota may have a conundrum at quarterback in terms of teams that with 1-3 records. You could argue, does Minnesota still want to ride with Kirk Cousins? Is Denver going to still ride with Russell Wilson? Is Las Vegas going to draft someone because Jimmy Garoppolo is probably not your future of the franchise? How about what do the Jets do? Because Aaron Rodgers says he wants to come back next year, but how efficient is he going to be after that Achilles injury? It's interesting to see, especially in this race with Drake May. If New England continues to free fall, does Bill Belichick toss Mac Jones to this side? Cincinnati's not going to get rid of Joe Burrow. In Arizona, do you still believe in Kyler Murray? Same with the Giants, even though you just gave Dan Jones that huge extension. So a lot of things to be watching for the teams watching this game in terms of what you want to see from Drake May. And so far against the Syracuse defense, Drake May has done well as we are starting to come back from halftime here. 27-0 is the score in favor of UNC at the halftime break. We're about to start the third quarter. Syracuse is getting the ball first to begin this third quarter of play. And it'll be interesting to see how Syracuse comes out of the halftime locker room in terms of its offensive vitriol, you could say. 323 total yards of offense for Drake May. That's career high in the first half, and it's coming against the Syracuse defense, which is not good to see. Although, again, as you could say, it's probably been more so a case of the offense and not giving the defense a chance to rest. And it's just, it's been in general. Kickoff here in the third quarter, and it goes out of the end zone for a touchback, Syracuse. As usual, starting at the 25. "59 plays for UNC as Schrader rolls out to his right, looking for a receiver downfield, and he overthrows Damian Alford, who was, tightly covered. Looked like a broken play there on a potential RPO situation. So it'll be quickly second down and 10. But a flag on the play. Let's see what the flag is. And it's an ineligible man downfield. So that's going to be a loss of down and another 5 yards tacked on. No loss of down, actually. And I'll just make it 1st and 15. Schroeder in a shotgun takes the snap, looking left, and just kind of tosses it to LeQuinn Allen. And Allen does a good job to fall forward and get 2 yards. But that was a weird play. Yes. Allen on the halfback pitch, basically, went absolutely nowhere. If you want to get LeQuinn Allen into space, I'm not sure that's quite the best way to do it. So it's only 2nd and 14. Schrader takes a step, drops back, looking left, looking down the sideline. That's one of the first sideline throws we've seen from Schrader. And as we saw last week against Clemson, didn't work, intended for Daryl Gill Jr., the speedy wide receiver who probably has a lot of upside and talent, but not showing it there. Gill is still a green wide receiver, but his future does seem bright. I'm interested to see how he develops as we head into next year. 3rd and 14, 2 wide receivers up top. One motioning down. That's Amari Hatcher as Schrader takes the snap, drops back, now moves up into the pocket, has a lot of room to throw down the sideline once again. And coming back is a receiver in Hatcher, the guy in motion. And there's an option of a guy coming back to help Schrader after not a lot of option. Hatcher was actually falling down. It was an underthrown ball and a great recovery there from Hatcher to fight off the coverage, the tight coverage. Make it first down. That's the first big explosive play we've seen from the Orange to maybe give them some momentum, a little bit of a lifeline. And now Hatcher over the middle on the slant picks up another first down, gets 12 yards. That's a big play as Amari Hatcher now starts to settle into this game. We saw a little bit of Donovan Brown. Now it's Hatcher. This is a good first series for Syracuse coming out. Well, at least because of Schrader making those 2 great throws to Hatcher. But that's really all you need sometimes. And now LeQuinn Allen on first down will pick up about 4 yards. That's a positive gain for Allen on a play. That's something and again, in the situation of the game, we didn't see a lot from Syracuse last week, is that not a lot of first down runs. And when you have an athlete that's explosive as Allen is, my opinion is that you should be at least giving to him on almost every first down. Schrader takes a snap on 2nd and 6, drops back to pass, fakes throwing to the left, and now is just going to pitch it out to Villari on the right side, who does good to pick up about 4.5, maybe 5 yards, set up a 3rd and short. So it's good to see that Syracuse is getting Dan Villari more into this option, probably mainly out of necessity, but Villari has proven that, hey, he's a capable receiver and he's a capable fighter for extra yards. 3rd and 2. Schrader takes a snap, hands off. No, we'll keep it. And that's a good option from Schrader. First down, a whole lot more. Gets inside the 10-yard line, close to the 6. It'll be 1st and goal for the Orange, and it's the first time Syracuse has been in the red zone today. Huge play for Garrett Schrader. Syracuse will sub out a couple of players to bring in their jumbo packages. And UNC is going to try and respond and guy with a couple of subs on their own as Big Rashard Perry comes in with the jumbo package. You've seen this a lot from Syracuse. It's 1st and goal from the 6. So quite a long way to go for the run. And it's a pitch out to Allen going around the right side. Gets close to the touchdown marker. Did he break the plane? Or maybe be about an inch or so short. Yeah, he's basically a whisker short. So a nice adaptation out of the jumbo package here to basically give Allen a pitch on the outside and send the extra blockers that way as Max Bang now will come in to help reinforce this jumbo package. Schrader under center. Takes a step, hands off to Allen, jumps into the end zone. That's a touchdown. LeQuinn Allen, and Syracuse has their first score on the board with LeQuinn Allen diving on top of the pile and into the blue paint. So a positive first series for Syracuse coming out of the break, and it was looking almost dead But you got to credit Umari Hatcher there for keeping the drive alive, basically on 2 great plays. First, that first play to track back to Garrett Schrader to make that great, unbelievable catch on the underthrow, and then the second one with on the slant to pick up the immediate first down after to keep the momentum going. And you that's positive. That should give Syracuse a lot of momentum. Gives the defense also another extra time to rest coming out of the halftime locker room. Give them a little bit more chance to adjust to Drake May. And maybe Allen was a little bit frustrated. Who knows? But that's what you want to see. That's exactly what you want to see from Syracuse on that drive. We can take a look once again at the ESPN play-by-play there on this touchdown drive, and really see once again it was right here. It was the key, the 3rd and 14, the 34-yard pass to Amari Hatcher, and these back-to-back plays really set up Syracuse. If Hatcher doesn't make those 2 plays, and then Schrader with finally one of his first good option runs as well, really broke open the drive for Syracuse. And those 3 big plays kind of helped go along. So at least a positive sign for Syracuse coming out of the locker room. We've seen in the past, especially under Dino Babers, that Syracuse has not looked good coming out of the locker room. They've been slow and lethargic at times to kind of adjust to the speed of game and get back up to playing speed once coming out of the locker room. If you are still watching along on the live stream, if you're on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, again, thank you so much for joining us on this first watch party between Syracuse football, between Syracuse and FSU. And if you haven't followed along on Twitch on Disloyal Idiots, subscribe to the YouTube channel Disloyal Idiots, a Syracuse Orange podcast, and follow along on Twitter at Disloyal_Idiots, and follow our friends at Fans First Sports Network at Fans First SN on Twitter. I think if Syracuse was more in this game, like we'll see a lot more people like we did in the first half, tuning into these streams, and it seems like people, like this. So we'll tag along and consider doing another one for Florida State next week, as painful as it might be, or maybe we bring this back for when Syracuse hopefully has a little bit more of a better chance in a game next week against, and will be like 3 weeks now against Virginia Tech. Syracuse kicking off, and it goes out of the end zone for a touchback. So let's see how the Syracuse defense responds after the quote unquote the rest now that they've had, especially with how great of a game Drake May has had. Maybe we'll keep an eye on who's in this game personnel wise for Syracuse. Do you bring in Miles Farmer, maybe even Jaden Gould? Gould might be in this game as it's a handoff to their running back. He'll pick up about 4 yards. Kind of take stock of the personnel that's currently on this field right now for Syracuse. UNC working a bit quickly. Another handoff to the left side, and then the run defense holding up a bit better like it did on the first couple of possessions, but still death by 1,000 cuts as UNC will pick up another 3 yards. Hampton does, and we 3rd and 3. Starter's still out there. Jason Simmons. Jaden Bellamy is still out there as well. No Jeremiah Wilson, and Hampton does fight through for a first down. The run defense not quite holding up there. And Elijah Clark kind of looking at the sideline, kind of mystified about what else he could do. May claps his hands, takes a snap. Now trots back to pass, flushed out of the pocket, almost taken down. Still manages to scramble and get about 5 or 6 yards, as Syracuse open field tackling just hasn't been in this game. May escaping the pressure there from multiple Syracuse defenders. First there, it's Lowry. Then it's Wax. And finally, McDonald takes him down to 3 linebackers. Have to use all 3 of their skills just to get to Drake May. And the officials got to rule him out a little bit before he went down. So it'll be 2nd and 7. I mean, this is what happens when you face a quarterback with the caliber of May. And now it's a quick out pass, and Bellamy was completely fooled there. And it's another one of those situations where teams are avoiding throwing to Isaiah Johnson. And unfortunately, whether it's Jeremiah Wilson or even in this case, Jaden Bellamy, they were all taking advantage. May looking to pass, now looking deep, and he's got a man open, throws over Elijah Clark. And that's his second big play to McCullum to put UNC in the red zone. These defensive backs have just not been able to keep up with UNC's receivers this entire game. 1st and 10. Yeah, it's another handoff, and the run defense holds strong this time. Second and 11, UNC at their 20. 2 receivers to the right of May, 1 to the left. May takes the snap, backs up, trying to escape the pressure, rolling right, looking downfield. Now it's going to scramble and slide out of the pocket down the right sideline for about 4 yards. So it'll be 3rd and medium from the UNC 16, maybe the 17, depending on where May started his slide. But once again, Syracuse, much like last week, still having a little bit of problems with edge contained in the pocket, as May just kind of runs past Justin Barrett there, who was coming on the safety blitz. It'll be 3rd and 9 for Drake May and UNC, who are content to just let some clock run with the 20-point lead that they have. Not in too much of a rush, especially with the drive that they're building. May takes the snap with 1 on the clock, 3-step drop, looking up, and now trying to escape the pocket to his left, but can't quite do so as Derek McDonald came from behind, completely unblocked after he kind of ran past his initial blocker to make the stop. And so Syracuse does force a field goal, and that's another one of those red zone stops that Syracuse does manage to force UNC into a 3rd field goal of the day. 4th and 9, the UNC field goal unit, I think, is that, but can't quite tell by the broadcast camera. Yes, it is. So it'll be a 36-yard attempt for UNC. Kick is up away and right down the uprights for a good field goal. So 30-7 now in favor of the Tar Heels. As we go to another break. It's unfortunate that the UNC is that the Syracuse DBs just, it's been hit and miss. Elijah Clark has sometimes been able to keep up with UNC DBs, but most of the time, these UNC wide receivers, most of the time, the Carolina wide receivers are just running past the Syracuse coverage. and they haven't been able to stop him. Definitely has not been the game that Syracuse thought it would get right now. Let's see if Syracuse can actually build some momentum after that first drive in the second half. It was definitely saved a little bit by you could say, yeah, it was definitely saved by the Umari Hatcher plays that were made. If you're joining us on Twitter, make sure you join us either also in the YouTube or Twitch channels and chat along and share your opinions on how this Syracuse game was going and what Syracuse may need to do as well. Just switch up Disloyal Idiots on Twitch or YouTube to join us along in the stream chat there. So here come the Tar Heels. They'll kick things off here with about 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Or, excuse me, 6 or 7 minutes left to go in this third quarter. UNC did a good job on that drive of also burning a ton of clock. As basically clock is on their side with a 23-point lead. Kickoff is up and away and out of the end zone for a touchback. So Syracuse starts at 25. 2 to the top for Schrader as he hands off to Allen, runs around to the left side, but doesn't get anywhere. Only picks up 2. At least Syracuse is giving the ball to Allen on first down. They kind of almost forgot to do that in last week's game against Clemson, even in a similar situation to where they are right now. 2nd and 8 at the 27. Schrader takes a snap, hands off to Allen, right up the gut. Got a bit of a hole there and picks up 6 yards, a yard short of the first down. 6:10 left to go in this third quarter, clock ticking, and LaQuinn Allen finally getting a bit more involved in this game. This is what you want to see from Syracuse, and Allen looks like he did fall down forward enough to pick up the first down as a change the move. So fresh set of downs, ball spotted at the 35. Schrader takes the snap. Allen in a bit of a pistol, and Schrader keeps it on the option play and falls forward to get about 2 yards. It'll be second down. This is what you want to see from Syracuse also get Allen into a bit more space. He goes out wide now to the left of Schrader, empty backfield. Allen's the left outside receiver. Schrader is going to throw outside, though, to Amari Hatcher, who's picked up his third reception of the second half and gets positive yardage to get past the first down marker. So now Schrader showing a bit of connection with Amari Hatcher, who on a sideline pass also, one of the first good sideline passes for Schrader. And Amari Hatcher now trying to show up a bit more. 5 receptions for Hatcher, and he's got 80 yards to his name. Schrader takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Allen, and again Hatcher on the out route down the sideline picks up 5 yards. So Syracuse may have found something here with Hatcher, who's being reliable for Syracuse. Something that they haven't seen from a receiver since Gadsden and Jones have went down. Syracuse in UNC territory now. Ball at the UNC 47. Schrader takes the snap, hands off. Allen right side and falls forward. Might be a yard or two short of the marker he is. So about 3rd and 2 coming up for Syracuse. As the ball will be spotted just past the 40-yard line. Clock ticking. Clock is now at 4:21. Schrader takes the snap. There it is, and hands off to Allen. No, Schrader's going to keep it and does fall forward a bit, but he was initially stopped in the backfield with initial contact. It'll be interesting to see where they mark him down. Definitely looks like it's going to be short. And he is short. He's short by about a yard, and Syracuse is definitely going to go for this as the big boy jumbo package is going to come on for Syracuse. David Clement coming on, same with Joe Cruz, as Schrader is going to take a little bit of time with 20 seconds on the clock to reset the play call. Quickly to the line for Syracuse. Schrader going to keep himself trying to push forward, and a flag is thrown. It might be a false start on Syracuse. Yeah, it is a false start on Syracuse, so that'll remove any chance of the jumbo package tush push. And Dino is going to send out the punting unit. As the extra lineman and Joe Cruz was just a little bit too trigger happy there. And so another one of those promising drives that ends disappointingly for Syracuse. That looks better for Syracuse. Good momentum to at least build. And at least Syracuse has shown that Schrader's got a little bit of a rapport with Amari Hatcher in the passing game. And the running game got a little bit better in that second half as well. Schrader's options reads are still being a little bit questionable at times, as the ball doesn't take a Syracuse bounce. So we'll start rolling in Syracuse's favor, and UNC will start at their 17. 3:05 left to go in this third quarter, and the ESPN is going to take a TV timeout break. You're still tuning into the live stream. Again, thank you for joining us on this first watch party that we're doing here on Disloyal Idiots. Feel free to stick around and chat in the Twitch or the YouTube on Disloyal Idiots. Even if you're watching on Twitter or joining in chat. And, type in, what you think of this game so far, or what you think Syracuse needs to do to improve next week and in the weeks to come. Maybe not so much for Florida State, but when Syracuse has that crucial stretch of Virginia Tech, Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest. I mean, that end of the game stretches, that end of season stretch is so important for Syracuse. Looks like ESPN is back from break as Drake May and the UNC offense gets set to take over from the UNC 17. Handoff goes to the running back who runs around the left side and picks up 13 yards with a first down. Yeah, UNC has figured it out. They have to run around the outside, but a flag is thrown. This may be coming back. Yeah, and it is indeed coming back. So actually too much holding to allow that outside run. This edge contain hasn't been great for Syracuse, and May completes a quick out route to Tez Walker, who's dragged down by Bellamy. Picks up about 5 or so yards. It'll be second down. As looks like UNC did get back to the original line of scrimmage. With the penalty, not sure how much we're going to see from the Syracuse defense or just tell from the UNC offense. But they're back to 2nd and 10, so maybe something to see here. May just dumps it down on a check down, and again, the initial tackle isn't great, but the secondary help that time is. So Isaiah Johnson and Stephon Thompson can clean it up and only allow just a yard. So 3rd down and 9. Tackling's been an issue. Kevin Darden may have jumped offside. Looks like he did, so it'll be a free play. Those are the type of penalties that's going to drive Dino mad, especially as Syracuse tries to make a comeback in this game. I think it's only 5 yards, so it'll be 3rd and 4, but, a much more manageable situation for UNC. As the broadcasters just transition to all the promotion of Drake May and what his future entails for him. 3rd and 3 at the UNC 23, as this is a pass over the middle, and it's juggled and caught, and this will go for a touchdown. Clark might have been in a position to pick off that ball, but the juggle chip drill is there, complete. And this day just goes back to worse for Syracuse. It'll soon be 37-7. Flag is down. It'll probably be for unsportsmanlike excessive celebration. Was holding on Justin Barron. Defensive backs except Elijah Clark and Isaiah Johnson have not been impressive. Jaden Bellamy has been a little bit hit and miss in his first quote-unquote start now for Syracuse. Extra point up and away is good. So it is 37-7. And we'll look at the replay here. It's a soft coverage once again. And holding is actually going to be on Jason Simmons, who was holding his target. Now throw behind, great adjustment from the wide receiver. And Elijah Clark couldn't quite come down with the ball. And from there, it was just off to the races. Not good, friends. Not good. Just an unfortunate game all around for Syracuse. Well, with 141 left, this is pretty much over, unfortunately. Even the Gamecast on ESPN seems to have given up, and probably for good reason. And Gamecast has caught up to us. Just unfortunate to see from Syracuse. You would hope they had picked up a bit more of a fight, but again, this was the tough part of the schedule. It always was going to be, and there probably aren't too many positive signs to pick up from this game. And it looks like Juwan Price is now in for the Quinn Allen. Not sure Carlos Del Rio Wilson in this isn't a quarterback or not, but probably a good sign to soon get Jared Schrader out of this game. It looks like Schrader is still in. Fake to Schrader and a throw to the outside to Valari. He makes the catch, falls forward for about 2 yards. So 3rd and short now for Syracuse. Syracuse offense has been killed by a lot of bad decisions on reads from Schrader, and just not a lot of trust in the wide receivers as well. Finally, got some trust over the last couple of drives to Amari Hatcher. Schrader takes a snap, looks right, still looking for an outside throw, and it's on a low throw, and it's picked off. Looking for Donovan Brown, and that's a Schrader mistake. And unfortunately, Schrader has just not been great, but the officials are actually going to call that an incomplete pass, so a break there for Schrader and the Orange. But boy, a low throw, accuracy down the sideline, a little less to be desired. As no, it is going to be a pick. Excuse my. Well, we'll see. I'm not sure. I don't have the audio broadcast on, so maybe I'll turn it on a little. Yeah, it is a pick. So it's another Schrader mistake, and it's an unfortunate one, as that's not what you want to see. And it just keeps getting worse as Tez Walker makes a great catch. May have hurt in his hat. That was a great catch from Walker. Just absolutely mosses Bellamy. And UNC will pick up a first down with this short field. It's going to get from bad to worse. I think at this point, next possession, it's time to take the starters out. This is over for Syracuse. May will throw for another first down. It looks like just the yard short for Tez Walker. It's the end of the third quarter, and guys, this is over. I hate to say it, but this is Unfortunately, over Syracuse is going to lose this game, and down 30 in the fourth, heading into the fourth quarter. The offense got a little bit of momentum, but there's been a lot of Schrader indecision that has really ruined them in this game. A couple of bad option reads. Again, accuracy on the throws, especially down the sideline. It took a mammoth effort from Amari Hatcher just to save a drive. And when you face Drake May, sometimes, and when you face the talent that UNC has, just sometimes you can't do much. I wish I could say more about this game, but there really isn't too much anymore that we can really wax poetic on. It's just been a natural, disappointing game for Syracuse where not a lot of positives to take away. Cheeks is definitely a way to describe this game. And you're definitely not wrong in thinking that it should be described as such. And the good thing is that you're limited on the injuries that you come out of this game as well. Maybe the only big one is Anwar Sparrow. It looks like that. Unfortunately, you hope that Sparrow's okay. I wasn't listening to the broadcast audio after that punt play that probably changed a lot of the momentum of this game. That's going to be talked about a lot. Um, we'll see. Could this game look different? Maybe if that punt call goes Syracuse's way, as I think a lot of us think it should have. It's hard to say, especially with how the offense has it looks in this game. I don't know. And a lot of this isn't on Jason Beck either. This, I think, the plays, at least in theory, have been called at a good time, but the execution by Garrett Schrader has just been off this entire game. It's a stark contrast to what we saw from the last time these two teams played, when the Sterling Gilbert play calling was just not it. So UNC is at their 15 to start the fourth quarter as Mace pass is tipped at the line, incomplete. So 3rd and 1 for UNC as we begin this fourth quarter. 6:05 on the East Coast here. How is everyone doing so far on this I know a lot of you probably aren't taking too much advantage of what the weather may or may not entail, as it may have been a fumble. Kevon Darden is certainly sparking a lot of discussion. It is a fumble, so Syracuse gets a little bit of a lifeline. Ball was on the ground. Derek McDonald comes up with the ball, and that's pretty much the first good defensive experience that comes from this game. Is Schrader still in this game? LaQuinn Allen looks like he's come back into this game. Yeah, Schrader and Allen looks like they are both still in this game. It looks like May fumbled the snap, so. Here is the officials on the sideline. Reset the down marker, and we're ready to play football once again. 14:51 left in this fourth quarter. Yeah, Schrader will line up at his own 16, takes the snap, and it'll be one of those end-around runs that Schrader leads on the blocking. Allen with a stiff arm as he'll pick up a couple extra yards and gain about 7. Flag on the play. Will they get Allen for illegal hands to the face? No, they might get Dan Villari for getting dragged down. We'll see. Nope, it is a foul on the defense. Yeah, it might be just a cheap shot in the back to Dan Villari by a UNC player. Now that is bad penalty for UNC to commit. So Syracuse getting a break. And Wildcat for Villari this time, and he'll dive forward for a yard. Maybe that's something we'll see get integrated against probably the competition later in the year, more of that Villari Wildcat. Yeah, I mean, Villari still looks shaken up in that late unnecessary hit from the UNC backer. He'll go out into the slot here as Schrader is back under shotgun, takes the snap, hands it off to Allen, who's got absolutely nowhere to run. It looks like Joe Moore is actually in this game. That'll be interesting to see. We'll look that up as Schrader on 3rd and 9 is going to take a snap, drop back to pass, continue to get flushed out of the pocket as protection completely collapses, and he's got absolutely nowhere to run, and we'll just throw a ball out of bounds. Isaiah Jones is on the field. Did see that towards the end, but he's been a non-factor. I guess no wide receiver actually has been, but I'm surprised he hasn't actually gotten a reception. As the punting unit will come out. So that was Joe Moore on the field at right guard. So interesting to see that he's back. Comebacks for this team have just not been in their DNA. That is certainly one of those things that is not there. Short punt here from Stonehouse based on the field positioning. One of his first bad punts, but yeah. It seems like this is a team that definitely doesn't know how to play from behind, and it kind of gets desperate once they play from behind. I mean, Schrader said during the week that And this is a team it's important for them to score early and score first, so I think can control the game. I think it's time for backups. It's hard to. Yeah. This is a lot on Schrader. I think a lot of this is on Garrett Schrader. I think when the offense is working well and humming well, Schrader is confident, can throw without concern, can run without concern. I mean, in natural in football, and I know it always has been, it's quarterback driven. And if your quarterback is not performing or isn't that confident, then it kind of fizzles out. I mean, you see that with Drake May. He's got over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. But if your quarterback decision making isn't up to par, and a lot of the injuries have to do with this as well. I mean, Syracuse is not missing a lot of weapons on its offensive side. Not much you're going to do. Play calling has been not awful, I don't think. Just the execution just hasn't been there. I think there's a lot of things that factor here that really can't pin down what's wrong with the offense. And UNC is probably going to start just running a lot more clock here. And Z May is really taking his time to get these play calls. No, actually, they're not going to go too deep into the play clock. That's interesting. It looks like they want one more score, at least 37-7 right now. The tally. May once again hands it off, 2nd and 4, and falls down. 3rd and 2. Tackling once again. Now we start to see a couple of the backups in for the orange in the defense. Berlin Ingraham, Jaden Gold on the field. Ingraham actually rotate out, same with Chobity and Jaquez. Yeah, that should be enough for a first down. Handoff was almost a little bit snuffed there, but another 9 yards for UNC on the run. It's that run to the outside that has worked wonders for UNC, no matter which running back has been in the game. So the runs up the middle for UNC right there go absolutely nowhere, but the runs to the outside is where the Tar Heels have carved up the orange defense. Another up the middle run. He might be stopped short. Yeah, he is short. So again, runs up the middle. Syracuse have done a great job on the runs up the middle. UNC probably will go for it just to keep it going on 4th and 1. UNC will go for it. May will go under center and Darden jump the snap. That's the second time that Darden has jumped the snap. And Darden will rotate out because of that. It'll be interesting to see how Mayo performs in the NFL. He's definitely got the arm talent, but a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, it's all about situation. And currently, the teams at the top right now of the NFL draft tracker boards, there aren't many teams in like prime positions for a quarterback to develop well. May on an option, great stiff arm from him. I mean, even when him running, he's he's looked good enough. And the ESPN broadcast right now is again talking about that stretch after the Florida State game. That's going to be the crucial one for Syracuse to see, like, hey, are you going to let the performances right now in this game and what happened last weekend, probably what's going to happen next week? Are you going to let that dictate what's going to happen for the rest of the season? Good thing so far is that I don't think there have been any Heisman highlight plays like we saw from Lamar Jackson in 2016, where you're just going to see a Syracuse play every single game. There might be one or two, but it's not going to be like something that'll stay on a highlight reel. May looking for the corner, and Greenwood's got good coverage there. And so this would be interesting for Syracuse to see. Hey, can can we put the performances against these three teams who we know are going to be who we know are good, who are going to be at the top of the ACC no matter what? Can we put that behind us and get the wins against the teams that we probably should be winning against? We get it against Virginia Tech, who are scrappy at home, but probably look down. Boston College, again, probably not a down team. Same with Pitt. And May's going to pick up another first down. It'll be interesting to see. The Lamar hurdle, there hasn't been the Lamar hurdle just in general for May here. Maybe that one long touchdown over in the middle, as Dennis Hawkins again has another arm injury. That's not good to see him having another arm injury. That's what ended his season last year, and the trainers are in some definite concern here with him, and that's going to be a big loss. I mean, Hawkins hasn't shown up a ton in the on the stat sheets, but again, you wanted to avoid the injuries. I'm not even sure why the starters are out at this point in this game, and that's disappointing to see. Hawkins has so much potential ahead of him, and if he's out for a significant time because of this injury, that's not good. Good to see that at least the rain for today has probably kind of left, so that at least you can enjoy the rest of the day outside if you really need to, with what little sunlight is going to be left at this time of year. Not so much tomorrow, at least for us on the East Coast. I expect that most families are going to be out apple picking and enjoying the weekend for the little left of the warm weather that is going to be expected here in the Northeast region before we move to the typical winters that we see. That's probably the only good thing for the families. You get a lot of October to spend to enjoy the last bit of warm weather outside before you have to hunker down. Yeah. I mean, if you missed it, in my broad preview, I would like overall thoughts on this game. A lot of Garrett Schrader mistakes, a lot of non Drake May mistakes. This is the quarterbacks decided this game. Yeah, Drake May is finally out of this game. Starters are still in against the UNC backup QB. So, I mean, I still don't know why the Syracuse starters are still out there. Like, yeah, I think it's time to start getting them out. I'll be shocked if we see Schrader or many other starters out in the next offensive possession for Syracuse. Not much to learn about this team now with the backups in. Yeah, and UNC is going to make it 40-0. I mean 47. Probably feels like 40-0 for a lot of you, I'm assuming. ESPN broadcast is back from break. Yes, Syracuse is down 40-7 to UNC. This has not been a great game for Syracuse. Not too many positives that you can take away from either side of the ball. We're assuming the backups are going to be in, so there should be a good opportunity to see what Carlos Loria Wilson has. 5:08 left to go in this game. Yeah, but ESPN's going to take another break as college football, as usual, has been inundated with a lot of breaks just in general. Rough day to be a Syracuse fan, friends. Rough day to be a Syracuse fan. Sub Carlos Doria Wilson in along with the backups. His first pass to Donovan Brown is caught for 6 yards. Again, still don't know why some of those starting wide receivers are out there, but yeah, here's what we'll do, I guess. Your CDR throwing down the middle and a little bit too hard for Humari Hatcher. Flag is down though. Yeah, it's another hold on Syracuse. Orange Madness is coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll finally get to see our first look of the Syracuse men's basketball team in its new era under Adrian Autry. Really interesting to see how he handles the guard rotation as well. Do you see throwing a bit of Justin Taylor and Gadir Copeland into the guard rotation with the amount of forwards that Syracuse has in order to give Judah Mitz and JJ Starring a little bit of a spell while Chance Westry and Kyle Cutcliffe, or I forget what his last name is, the Kansas transfer, and while they kind of recover from injury, especially with Westry not at full strength yet, you might see Mintz and starting play a lot, especially early on in the season, which might not be good once you get to Maui Invitational time. Third and one for Carlos Dorio Wilson. It's just a handoff to Juwan Price, who will get the first down. Expected to see more of Juwan Price without a lot of people really highly weight Price, and especially just in general in the modern football game nowadays. You really want a dual running back system in order to just alleviate some of the pressure on your main running back and keep that main running back more fresh just throughout the season. So surprised we haven't seen more of Price just in general this season. And Dowier Wilson hit as he throws its pick off. And that'll probably be it. Didn't feel the back pressure. And that's probably the last we'll see of Syracuse with the ball. Hema is definitely underrated. I do like new Hema a lot. McLeod will definitely start, but Hema defensively was really, really impressive last year. I like that a lot about his game. Although what we're hearing just initially, especially from John Roston's early tweet, we'll probably see Malik Brown as that first choice backup center, that maybe against more athletic lineups, which will be an interesting thing to see. I think Malik Brown, especially as that backup center, was really, really good, really. And when the Syracuse had to go to the short lineup, especially with how foul happy Syracuse's centers can be, we'll see how much that changed with man to man. UNC throwing here, really, they're getting there. They're going for more blood here. I've always called Malik Brown Marek Dolezaj without the passing. Brown doesn't have the passing of Dolezaj, but he's got everything else about his game. He's Syracuse's smartest player since Dolezaj. He just knows where to be on the court and the right positioning, and he's so smart. I think he's a player that will be very, very impactful off the bench for Syracuse, and maybe will eventually make his way into a starter spot. Maybe eventually, like he did for a couple games last year. But he's definitely a spark plug off the bench because I don't think teams are ready for how smart he is, because he just always kind of knows what to do on defense and knows where to position himself on offense. UNC is going to run a bit more clock here on 3rd and 9 as we tip under 2:20. And it'll be another run play, and Syracuse will stop. UNC will probably go for another field goal to tack it on and make it 43-7. It'll take the clock down to about a minute 30. So CDRW and the Orange offense backups will probably have one more chance to get some sort of playoff. No, they won't get. Well, we'll see when Mac Brown decides to. We'll go for it on 4th down. Maybe to try and kill off the game with a 1st down. Flag is thrown. Yes, the pass isn't complete, but we'll see what the flag is. It's offensive holding. Yeah, penalty will be declined. So Syracuse will get the ball with about 127 to try and get a little bit of momentum into next week with the backups. All right, one more possession for Syracuse to end off the game. First, it'll be a handoff to Jawan Price. He'll get about 2 yards. Price up the middle. He'll get about 3 or 4 yards. And that'll probably be it for this game. So 40-7 is the final score. Syracuse will drop to 4-2 on the year. Here, the final thoughts on this game. Their retreater just made too many mistakes, in my opinion. Drake May did not. And it's just a team that flat out got beat. Not much we could say, but thanks, guys, for joining us on this first edition of this watch party. It probably will go a little bit better next week, hopefully, but it's Florida State. It could probably be more of the same. But we'll see if we'll run this again next week or if we'll bring it back for Virginia Tech, where hopefully Syracuse will come up with a better showing. Thanks for joining us again. If you're watching, tune into the podcast tomorrow at 8 p.m., where Steve, Andy, and I will wax poetic about the rest of the Syracuse meetings that are happening this week. Thanks, everyone, for watching.